Dun, 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 dun. Be bold in your faith. Live your Catholicism out, not just with the knowledge, but in a practical use of it every single day so that we can kick the devil's butt. And right here with me today, man, we're live right now. So whoever's out there watching us, we got Edgar Lujano, back to the basics, apologist. And don't forget about Respuestas Católicas,
right.
Catholicanswers in Spanish. This
Here
is
we
the
are.
face of it. Here he is right now. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. It's great to have the powerful and almighty Eric Tafoya hanging out here with us. So thanks for coming to the office, man. It's great to have you.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. And so I got the microphone right here, and so
Yeah, and I'm talking into
secret
like
one right here. You know, I need to make sure I'm talking into it like this myself. You know, but can you please just talk about what you do here at Catholic Answers? Like, this is my brother. Okay, so first of all, this is the brother. Like, I'm here in the Catholic Answers studio right now. Honored. Was at the Catholic Answers conference. So privileged to be able to do it, but a big part of that, God uses individuals as like conveyor belts of grace. Amen. And so God put Edgar in my life a year and a half ago. No, almost 2 years now. It's close almost to 2 years. Religious Ed conference in January. Put him in my life, and he's been a brother. He's been someone who's like, I look up to him, but he makes me feel for some reason that he looks up to me.
I do.
And that's why I love him so much, because he doesn't know the admiration that I have from how he's grown into his position here, the struggle that he went through, and how he continues to push every single day for our faith. And that's who Edgar is. So I just wanted to have him on, just kind of talk about who he is and what you do, brother.
Well, I shared my story with you on your channel. I think it was like a year or two ago already.
Yeah.
So early on, but no, my role here has developed a little bit since I moved here. So I originally started as a radio and podcast producer, so I was in charge of the podcasts.
Yeah.
And I do the call screening for the live radio show. And what I also do is, as you mentioned, Respuestas Católicas.
Yeah.
So I launched all the Spanish content, and I don't know if you know, next week is the 1 year anniversary that we launched Respuestas Católicas. It's already been a year since we launched it. Yeah, it's been pretty a wild ride, that's for sure. But yeah, so I get to hang out here in the studio. I get to call screen for the show. I sometimes fill in for the video and whatever they need me. So ideas, producer, whatever. Whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
to this call screen, I just want to like get to that real quick. Like, so when you guys call in, so what he's saying is, Catholic Answers, check it out, guys. You go to Catholic Answers on YouTube, Catholic.com. It's about defending our faith, apologetics, theology, evangelization, all mixed in one. But when he's talking about he's answering the calls, when Catholic Answers has a live show where they answer all the questions you need. Sometimes there's specific topics, and other days it's just a freelance. But when you call in, he's one of the brothers that are actually taking the calls and helping to assist with it. Monday
through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. So give us a call. You'll be talking to me. I'll just do my little spiel. 888-318-7884. Don't forget, 888-31-TRIP. You can go ahead and give us a call, and I'll be answering the phone. You can ask your question. Actually, today we have 2 full hours with Carlo Broussard. So that's going to be going on in about an hour and 15 minutes for whenever you guys are ready. Yeah.
But did you notice? I want you guys to rewind it real quick. Let me pull this up right here. I need you guys to rewind it. Just stop what you're doing, okay? Maybe just kind of pull back the live and just go back a little bit like this, or if you're watching it later on, listen to the way his voice changes, and it goes like this when you're dialing 888. You know, I like that. It was like his whole professional voice came out. The mannerisms was amazing.
I didn't even notice that.
And that's the way we do it. That's the way we try to. That's the way we do it, especially when we're introducing something or we want to like shift up because we're trying to drag people's attentions. I saw it. It made me excited about it. So make sure you call in with any questions you have about the faith. It's one thing for like somebody tells you something about your faith and you don't know, and you're like, oh, I don't know. Hey, get away from me. Or they tell you something and then you start wanting to go to their church. Well, Catholic Answers is a resource that we have right here in Spanish and English. Any questions that you don't know about your faith, which happens to a lot of us, our brothers and sisters, but you can learn it. It's like the same way we learn how to ride a bike, the same way we learn a job, the same way we learn different craft as we're aging. You can learn your faith. God's given you all these gifts and resources. So call in the Catholic Answers. What's something that stands out to you of all the calls that you've been doing, bro? Was there a time where you're like, whoa, this guy's like...
Well, one of the craziest things is it's God's providence working through the show. And it's pretty wild to see how many times you have random people calling, including Protestants, who call in and say, hey, I was just flipping through the radio and I just happened to land on your guys' radio, and I decided to call in because I disagree with you. And we've had situations where that happens, and people start becoming regular listeners, and eventually they end up converting. So that's always a blessing. And I think one of the things that always stood out to me is God. I don't know, the way He works is just fascinating. We had a caller not too long ago. The guy called in. It was a question with Jimmy Aiken, and he said that he felt like he was possessed and he was being chased by demons. And Jimmy walked him through it, talked him through it about what the next steps are. And after that call, about 30 minutes later, I got another call, and the guy was like, "Hey, that guy who called in earlier." Like, yeah. He's like, "That's my brother, and my family, we haven't heard from him in like 20 years." It's like, and he said, "I don't listen to Catholic radio, but I was just flipping through the radio, and I heard his voice on the radio, and I knew immediately that it was him. We had no idea where he was, and it was such a blessing to hear his voice, even though it was like such kind of a sad call. But it turns out the family, I think, lived near Chicago, and the guy was living in like Portland, Oregon. So it goes to show you that God's hand working through that, and at least allowing him. I'm sure his prayers were like, I want to know where my brother is, and my parents are struggling. Yeah. So he wanted to find out where he can go back and listen to the recording. So I told him where he can find it, and he felt so incredibly thankful, and that truly was a providential moment from God. Yeah, so calls like that, they get pretty intense and pretty wild.
Yeah, that's. And so, did you ever see if anything happened after that?
No, unfortunately, no. But you know what? We're not always called to see the fruits of our labor, and that's between them and God. But it's really cool to be used as an instrument for God's will through all of that. So that was such a blessing. Yeah, and then you get the angry atheists, you get the angry Protestants who say we're all going to go to hell, and all we do is respond with charity. Just respond with charity and tell them, we're praying for you. God bless you, and we love you. Yeah. Easy as that.
And that's, and so back to thank you for that story. It's really beautiful, and we have a limited time right now, so I want to make sure I get to a couple questions with him, because hey, Edgar Lujano, come on, back to the basics. Apologetics right here. Catholicanswers, Respuestas Católicas. This is a legend right here, in the making right here. I'm telling you, keep watching for him. But what was it that? Okay, because there's going to be two sides of this one, okay? So I'm just going to ask you the first part of it. What was it that made you want to do the Spanish apologetics? Like, what was it? Was there anything in particular? Because I know we need it in our faith. You know, there's the Spanish church out there, hey, yo, Viva, big time, y'all on fire over there, fuego.
But they don't know the faith. They don't know the faith. They're passionate. They love our Blessed Mother, but they don't know the faith. Well, the funny thing about it is, when I came in here, when I first started here at Catholicanswers, they brought me into a meeting with a gentleman named Jose Manuel de Urquidi. The guy runs a podcast network called Juan Diego Network, and they were having a meeting with him to talk about potential partnership. It never panned out, which is fine, but it was just an introductory conversation. But they brought me in because I'm a Spanish speaker, and in my head I'm thinking, I want nothing to do with Spanish apologetics. All I want to do is focus on the podcast, focus on the English side. And I remember as the conversation went on, I thought, I could do this. Like, this is definitely doable. Like, it doesn't have to be a giant a giant project. It can start off as something simple. Simple videos translated, and just getting the information out there, because that's what we need. An easy, digestible way for Hispanics to get the content. Well, ever since the very beginning, it kind of stayed with me, like, I could do this. And there were a couple of times when I put a script together, I recorded it turned out really bad. I re-recorded it, and I was like, hey, this is better, but I didn't know how to edit videos at the time. So then, luckily about being here is I get to learn how to do all that.
That's awesome, man.
So I got the program, and I started learning how to do small edits and editing videos and stuff. And then by the time I got to the idea of Spanish came up again, I thought, I can record and I can edit these videos, and I can make a simple edit and I can make it look decent.
He does make it look good.
Yeah, so if you look at the first ones, they're kind of, the coloring is off, the shadows are weird, but it was decent. And so I recorded like 3 or 4 videos, and I told my boss, like, hey, I'm gonna do Spanish apologetics. Does Catholicanswers want it under them, or I'm just gonna do it on my own? And he's like, well, let's see, let's put together some proposals. So I put the proposals together, and then our COO, John Swanson, he saw how certain Catholic organizations were already starting to jump into the Spanish side, and he goes up to the other Spanish speaker here in Catholicanswers, and he says, Analia, when are you going to start making me Spanish content? And she's like, well, Edgar's already making videos. You should go talk to him. And so then he walks over to my office.
Yeah.
Oh, hey Tim, we're recording a little something here. Come on in. You're good. No, you're good. We're live right now. So yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so John Sorensen comes over to my office, and he says, show me what you got. So I show him the videos, and he says, all right, I like what you have. I showed him the proposals, and he says, all right, great. This was in November of last year. And he says, all right, great. We'll go ahead and we'll get it all ready, and we'll launch in June. And I said, John, June? It's like, I can launch on Monday. Let's do this. And he's like, if you feel like you're ready, then launch the Spanish. And I said, absolutely. So come that following Monday, we started the YouTube channel, Facebook, no, Instagram and YouTube. So Instagram and TikTok is the other one. And we launched it, and here we are now, exactly a year later, and we've had over 4 million views on all the channels combined. So awesome. It's been such a blessing. It's been great. So it's just the tip of the iceberg. All we need is God's blessing and God willing, more donors, right, Tim? To give us a hand on this, to be co-workers in the vineyard through their ways. So yeah.
Amen. Just one last question, just because I want to ask you. I got you right. We were talking about the Spanish apologetics. Are you getting the same? Because as we're out there defending the faith, we're sharing the faith. You get as much attacks in the Spanish world as we do in the English world. 'Cause I feel like every day I got at least 100 plus people.
Let me tell you this:
channels.
the first 2 months were nothing but Protestant attacks on the channel. I don't think any Catholic knew that we had this channel, and slowly and surely, we eventually started getting people who are in the Spanish apologetics world, discovered us, got in contact with me, and now there's a lot more Catholic defenders of the faith on there. But in the beginning, it was nothing but smears and attacks of the Catholic faith. Let me tell you, they despise a lot of those anti-Catholic Protestants despise the Blessed Mother, despise our veneration of the saints, the Eucharist, and all of that. It's the same, it's the same anti-Catholicism that you saw during the Jack Chick era. That's what you're seeing now in the Spanish world.
Oh, really? Yeah. Jack Chick was pretty hard, too.
Oh, yes, he was. Yeah, so...
I remember those little booklets right there.
Yeah.
These weird little drawings in there.
Yeah, and they follow along with that. So there's a Protestant, his name is also Edgar, and he's very popular, very anti-Catholic, and makes a mockery of Catholicism. So I've been in works with other people like William Albrecht. Yeah. Hopefully, it would be great to get a debate with that guy and eventually start debunking all these myths.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, man. If there's any last things you'd like to tell the audience before I let you go, they're going to see you again in the future. Yeah. I appreciate you. Remember, check him out, Respuestas Católicas, and Back to the Basics Apologetics, and Catholic Answers Live. You can find him calling in.
888-318-7884.
Awesome, man.
All right.
Thank you, brother. All right, brother.
There he is.
Sorry I'm late. We have a little family situation.
Oh, no
We
worries.
got Tim Staples coming in.
You know what happens when you have 7
We got
kids
Tim Staples
and they have
in the
different
house.
stuff going on
Of
all
course.
over.
All right.
Nice.
So just to give you guys a heads up,
We only have a little.
you have 35 minutes in here, but if you guys want to continue your conversation, you can always go to the
Sure.